And for practice today, we're going to begin in a child's pose. So go ahead and come onto the shins, the knees, and then we'll fold the heart forward, arms stretch out towards the top of the mat, and then come to rest your forehead onto the mat. And there are two ways that you can do your child's pose. The first one is if you're wanting to focus this afternoon on opening up, releasing some tension in the back of the body, you can bring the knees together. And if you're wanting to focus more on the hips, you can bring the knees to the outer edges. So if you want to kind of try the two, or if you're already where you want to be, that's perfect. And naturally, the eyes are going to close down. As you begin to arrive. So arriving on your mat, arriving in the space that you are in. And as you are doing that, sensing what it feels like to be in the space that you're in. Noticing how your body feels this afternoon. How does it feel to be in your body? Noticing what it feels like to be on your mat, this very lovely sacred space. And you're really just at this point inviting in curiosity. And as you are kind of seeking all of those feelings, begin to connect to your breath here. And we'll take about 3 breaths together. So on your inhale, breathing in through the nose. And exhale, release. Beautiful. 2 more. Inhale through the nose, filling everything up, the belly, the chest, the shoulders. And exhale, let it go. Last one together. Inhale through the nose. And release. Beautiful. So noticing how just those 3 breaths, those grounding, cleansing breaths, have probably already started to shift the way that you're feeling. Hopefully you feel a little bit more grounded, a little bit more at ease. And those are a few things that we will be welcoming into the practice this afternoon. And I'd like for you to create some kind of intention here while we continue to find this resting pose. So your intention can be a word, it can be a phrase, it can be a mantra, something that is going to connect you to your practice, and something that if the practice feels like it's getting hard, if you're feeling like your mind is kind of all over the place and you're really needing to come back, your intention is something that you can come back to. So maybe it is an intention for how you want to show up for your practice. Maybe it is, having to do with some relationship that you have. It can be your health. Truly, it can be anything. So finding that now, breathing with it for about 5 more breaths in child's pose. And take your last breath here. And begin to tent the fingertips so you find a little opening in the shoulders. Maybe you start to move the brow bone from side to side, massaging the third eye, the forehead. Beginning to wake up the body. If the knees happen to be open, you can also move the belly from one thigh to the other. And simply just listening. Again, that curiosity, seeing what your body needs. Maybe you don't want to find movement. Maybe your body feels comfortable finding stillness in this moment. So trusting that little voice. Take a few more breaths here. Perfect. And on your next breath, we'll go ahead and draw the chin into the chest. So lifting the head up, and begin to round the spine. If the knees are open, you can bring them in a little bit so that they are underneath the hip bones. So we're in a cat pose here. Gaze is back at the thighs, pressing into the palms to around the shoulders. Finding some space in the back body. And on your next inhale, go ahead and drop the belly and pull the heart through the arms, taking your gaze up for a cow. Beautiful. On your exhale, take your gaze back again, pressing into the palms. Inhale, pull the heart through. One more time together. Inhale, rise. And exhale, release to neutral. And from neutral here, we'll take a few side stretches. So you can bring right shoulder to right hip, and then left shoulder to left hip. Continuing to find some movement in the spine here. And then release to center. And extend the right leg back. So the toes are touching the mat here. And gently start to push forward and backwards. Still feeling nice and strong in the shoulders. Make sure you're not dipping the heart down towards the mat. Just gently moving forward and backwards, creating some space in the hamstrings. Lovely. Then release to neutral. Go ahead and lift the right toes up. And then extend the left arm out. So I'm creating a nice long line with your body. Again, belly is nice and tight. Toes are facing the earth. Breathing, maybe a little bit deeper here. Last breath. You got it. And then we'll drop the left palm back to the mat and cross the right toes over behind the left heel. Take your gaze back to the right toes. So you should be creating a full, long side body stretch from the right shoulder all the way down to the right heel. And exhale, release back to center. Lower the right knee down. And then we'll take a seat back onto our heels here and just create a few circles with the wrists, because I know being on the wrists for a little bit can hurt. So lace the fingers here, palms will touch. Just creating those little circles, making sure you go in the opposite direction. And then we will extend the right arm out and bring the left palm to the right. And make sure here, when you're pulling back, you're not pulling back on the fingers, but you're pulling back on the palm. So we're just creating that little space here. Make sure the spine is nice and long. And then we'll turn it the other way and just really lightly pressing the top of the hand towards the body, and then we'll move to the other side. So whenever you're ready, you can move to the other side. Again, palm facing the front of the mat, finding that little stretch, and then turning the palm over and pulling it in towards the body. Perfect. And then we'll go back into tabletop and extend the left leg long. So toes should still be touching the mat, and begin shifting forward and backwards. Few breaths here. And And then come to pause. Lift up the left toes, right arm extends in front. So creating a nice long line with your body here, nice and strong. 2 more. You got it. 1 last breath. Perfect. Drop the right palm down, cross the left toes behind the right. Take your gaze back. 2 more breaths, still connecting here. And then exhale, release back to center. Right knee lowers down. And then curl the toes, and as we press into the palms, gently start to lift the hips to the sky, arriving in downward dog, which is a pretty crucial posture in our practice. So once you get there, you can start to pedal out the feet. Again, creating some more space along the hamstrings, the low back. You can also shift the hips from side to side, creating some more side body stretches. And if it also feels good, then it might be helpful too. I'm not sure where everyone's at in their practice. So to be sure that your downward dog has nice length, we can collectively shift forward into a plank pose. So from your plank pose, of course, you're going to want your shoulders stacked on top of your wrists. Belly is very much engaged. And the toes are towards the back of the mat. And then once you lift your hips back to the sky again for downward dog, you're not really going to want to move your feet. So if you need to do it again, you can shift forward into your plank, back into your downward dog. It's nice to just gauge if you're in the right spot. If you're not, just make sure you keep your palms and your feet where they are in plank, keeping them in your downward dog. Pressing through the palms here to reach through the wrists and the shoulders, lifting the sit bones to the sky. On your next inhale, extend the right leg long. Exhale, drop the right foot to the top of the mat. And once that foot arrives, we're going to want to make sure the knee is stacked on top of the ankle here. Left knee will lower down. If you'd like to stay here, kind of in this low runner's lunge, you can. Just make sure the shoulders are pressing away from the ears. If you'd like to rise up, reach the arms overhead for low lunge. The arms can be extended here, or you can lace the fingers and place them on the thigh. It's kind of nice to place them on the thigh just for a moment to kind of see if you're supporting yourself in the right places. So while you're here, make sure you're not relying on your left knee to support you. You want to be pressing into the right foot and feeling that press back. So your knee should kind of press your hip back, and then you should feel nice and long in the spine. A few more breaths here. Make sure your gaze is nice and soft, kind of in this meditative state here. And if you happen to be lower down here, go ahead and rise up. We're going to come into a twist. So you can keep your left palm to the thigh and open up the right arm, or lovely, last breath. Perfect. Then bring the palms back to center. Tent the fingertips down to your mat. And we'll shift the hips back towards the left heel. So we're coming into our half splits here. Right leg is straight, right toes are flexed, facing the sky. And if you did grab your books, or if you do have some blocks, super helpful pose for those. You can place them on the outer edges for that extra support that will lift the chest up. Wherever you are, make sure the spine is nice and long. If you're trying to find a fold here, make sure that you're not bringing your nose to your shin, because you'll create a round in your spine, but instead focus on bringing the belly to the thigh so that you'll always have that long spine here. Last breath. And walk the palms to the top of the mat, plant the foot down. Lift up the left knee, and right foot will meet the left. So arriving in your plank here, we'll hold it for just one more, nice and strong. And then lift the hips to the sky, downward dog. Once we all arrive there, inhale, extend the left leg this time, excuse me. And exhale, drop the left foot to the top. Drop the right knee down. Stay here if you did on the first side, or rise up. So we're just doing what we did on the first side, now on the left side. And it is helpful to kind of create the same movements, the same postures on each side. So whatever you did on the first side, mimicking that here. Connecting to the breath. 2 more. Last one. Awesome. Now we're going to come into our twist. So left arm opens up. The right palm can stay to the thigh, or you open up the right arm. And while you're here, imagine, super weird, but imagine that someone is pulling your right palm, someone is pulling your left palm, and you're kind of in the middle like a tug of war. And you're just feeling that spaciousness, like really reach out energetically through the fingers. One more. Exhale, come back to center. Tint the fingertips down and start to shift back. Finding those half splits again. And while you're in this half split here, if you feel like your hip is going off to the right side, just make sure you are course correcting and bringing it back to center. So the hip bone should be in line with the knees. Soften into it here. 2 more. Then lift the chest back up. Walk the palms to the top. Left sole meets your mat. Palms as well. Right knee rises. Left foot meets the right. High plank. And then we'll collectively drop the knees down. Tops of the feet will touch the mat. And then start to lift the chest up. Drop the belly down. The sit bones will also rise up. Elbows tuck in and start to lower down. So we're lying flat on our bellies. Palms underneath the shoulders. Press into the palms as you peel the chest. So we're not lifting up too much. Just a tiny little lift here. Core is engaged. You should want to be able to lift the palms and still be lifted. So the palms aren't supporting you, but the belly is. One more breath. Perfect. Plant the palms down and press back to your downward dog. In this downward dog, just doing a little check-in. Notice how you're feeling. Notice where there is heat being built up, if there is any. We're going pretty gently here at this point, so maybe there's not, but maybe there is. So just checking in. Ask yourself, how are you doing? It really is that simple. One more. And then take your gaze to the top of the mat and begin to walk the feet to the top. And once you arrive there, on your inhale, we'll take a halfway lift, so palms to shins or thighs, flat spine. And exhale, fold forward. One more time. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, release. You will take another pause here in this forward fold. This is, in my personal opinion, one of the best postures. Super simple. You can do it anywhere. Make sure you do have a micro bend or a pretty exaggerated bend in the knees. And the head and the neck are fully relaxed. So you can kind of shake it out here. Say no, say yes with the head. You can also grab opposite elbows if that feels good. And if you are feeling pretty open this afternoon, you can slide the palms underneath the feet and do that. That's fun. So here, this is just a really good posture for soothing and calming the mind, releasing any stress or tension that you're carrying with you. We'll gently rise up. So press into the feet and start to round the spine. So starting with the low back, working your way to the mid back, to the upper back, the shoulders. And once you reach the top, roll the shoulders back and extend the arms overhead. So we're standing in Tadasana here. With the arms overhead, you can lace the fingers. And we'll just find a full body stretch here. So make sure you're pressing into the feet and you feel really grounded there. Nice and long in the spine and kind of wiggling it up a little bit. And the shoulders can drop down as you reach the fingers higher. And then we'll go ahead and drop the palms down. Lace the fingers behind you. So we're going to open up the shoulders a little bit here. So lace the fingers behind, draw the shoulders back. If it feels good, the pointer fingers can be released here. Press the palms towards the earth. Find that bend in the knees. And hinge forward at the hips, so leading with the heart. Once the crown of the head is facing the earth, maybe you start to lift the palms off the low back if you want to stretch the shoulders a little bit more. Just like we did before, make sure the head and the neck are relaxed. And you're really just focusing on the shoulders here. 2 more breaths. Last one. Perfect. Lower the palms down to the sacrum at the low back and then down to your mat. Planting them firmly and release the feet back. So arriving in your plank pose once more. Drop the knees down. Sit bones rise. Elbows tuck in, lower down. Inhale, peel the chest, cobra. Exhale, take it back. Downward dog. On your inhale, extend the right leg. Find a bend in the right knee. Open up the hip. So while you're opening up the hip, make sure both of the armpits are still facing the earth. And then we'll create some circles. So make sure when you create these circles, you're doing it with the hip and not the knee. Really helpful. Also go in the opposite direction. Perfect. Extend the right leg long. And then drop the right foot to the top of the mat. Lower the left heel down. Bend into the right knee and rise up. So we're arriving in a warrior one here. In your warrior one, you're going to want to make sure that your feet are on opposite sides of the train track. Opposite sides of the mat. So if you feel like the right foot is in alignment with the left, just go ahead and move it out to the right a little bit. That's the easiest way that you can do it. Right knee is bent, belly is in, arms rise up. Really simple pose here. We're just going to pause and breathe for a moment. Again, coming back to that meditative gaze if you happen to have lost it. Also coming back to the breath. The breath is the most important tool for your yoga practice. So just keep coming back to it whenever you forget to tune into it. Perfect. Then we're going to draw the elbows down. Heart is nice and open. I'll face you so you can see what it looks like. So we're cactusing. Strange word. The arms here. So chest is open, elbows are dropped down, fingers can be spread really wide, and taking your gaze up. But as you take your gaze up, make sure that the chin is kind of dropped down here as you gaze. And then we're gonna create a tiny little flow of movement here. So from here, start to straighten the right leg and extend the arms overhead. On your next inhale, bring everything down, bending the knee, elbows drop. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, bend. 2 more. Inhale, rise. Exhale, come down. Last one. Perfect. And then reach the arms overhead. Right knee can still be bent. And then place your weight into the right foot. Open up the left foot. So we're coming into a warrior 2 here. Much different than the last pose. So right heel should be intersecting the arch of the back foot. Right knee is bent. This time, instead of facing forward, everything is and should be to the side of your mat. So hips are open, chest is open, shoulders, arms are open. In warrior 2 though, we're going to take our gaze beyond the right fingers. While you're here, if you feel like your chest is really forward or it's kind of backwards, typically it'll be more forward, just kind of wiggle it out a little bit and make sure that the low back is in line with the crown. Holding it nice and strong here. 2 more. And then straighten the right leg. Shift forward all the way until you can't shift forward anymore with the right palm. And then drop the right palm to the inside of the right thigh and extend the left arm. So this is triangle pose. This is where a block or a book would really come in handy. If you don't have one, that's okay though. It just means you're gonna have to really engage and be a bit stronger here because you don't have that support. But wherever you are, make sure the palm is not resting on the shin. That is not good for the joints. You're just gonna have to hold it strong. Back of the hand to the inside of the calf. You got it. So you can take your gaze out, or this time you can take your gaze to the sky and kind of tuck the chin towards the armpit. 2 more. Perfect. Then we'll bend into the right knee, rise back up to warrior 2, and then straighten the right leg and turn the toes in. So both legs are straightened, toes turn in. I feel like I look very small in like 3 feet in this video. It's kind of funny in this pose. So toes are turned in to support the knees here, and then we'll open up the arms parallel to the earth. And then we're going to hinge forward. So hinging, nice flat spine. Dropping down, keep dropping, and then drop the palms down to your mat. So you should be feeling a really deep hamstring stretch along both of the hamstrings here. Just gonna do a little time check. And it's kind of like a forward fold, but the legs are just wide, so you will be feeling it more in the back of the hamstrings here. And tent the fingertips to the mat, and on your inhale, find a halfway lift. On your exhale, fold deeper. Then plant the left palm underneath the nose, and on your inhale, extend the right arm for a twist. Exhale, lower the right palm down. Inhale, extend the left arm. One more time, lower the left palm. Inhale, right. Exhale, lower. Inhale, rise. And exhale, release. Inhale, halfway lift. And on your exhale, walk the palms to the top of the mat. So we're squaring off the right foot. Right foot meets the left high plank. Lower the knees down, elbows tuck in as you lower completely flat. Inhale, peel the chest. Exhale, press back into your downward dog. And then we have just one more side to do, and then we'll kind of move into the cool down here. So extend the left leg, find a bend in that knee. to open up the hip. Create your circles, making sure you go in the opposite direction. And then straighten the left leg and we'll drop the foot to the top. Right heel lowers down, press into the left foot, reach the arms overhead. Warrior one. Perfect. Before we move anywhere, it's always so important to build a nice solid foundation. So like we did on the first side, checking where your feet are at, building up to the knee, the hip, the shoulders, all the way until the palms reach and you feel really good and supported here. And once you do, cactus the arms, bringing all that strength down and in, chest is forward, holding it here. Awesome. Then we're going to create that flow again for 4 rounds. So straighten the left leg, arms rise up. Exhale, bending everything. Inhale, rise. Exhale, lower. 2 more. Once you're done and you arrive back to your cactus arms, arms can rise up straight. Place your weight into the left leg and open up your stance. Warrior two. And you do want to make sure here that the stance is wide. If the stance is really short, it's going to feel very awkward. So you almost want the length of the legs to be the whole mat. Since I can't see you, I obviously can't work with you in the same way, but if that is something you're kind of working on right now, definitely open up the stance. Gaze is beyond the left fingers, holding it here strong. Lovely, then straighten the left leg, coming into triangle, shift forward all the way until you cannot go anymore. And then drop the left palm and extend the right arm. The more that you shift forward and drop, the better off you will be in this pose, I promise. So arriving there, and we will hold this for 3 breaths. Lovely. And just like we did on the first side, bend into the left knee again. Reach the arms up. And then this time we'll come into goddess. So instead of turning the toes in, we'll turn the toes out. Bend in the knees. Toes are out here. Make sure you feel nice and strong. They don't have to be completely facing the short edge of the mat. They can kind of be facing the corners here. Whatever works. Just make sure that the knees are in line with the ankles and the knees aren't kind of trying to go over the ankles. Okay. And then we'll just kind of shift forward. Just kidding, side to side. Feel a little burn here. Make sure the tailbone is dropped down. Chest is nice and lifted. Shoulders are dropped as always. And then we'll place the palms down to the thighs, fingers facing the front. And on your exhale, drop the right shoulder down to the center. Gaze is beyond the left shoulder. Inhale, back to center, nice and tall. Exhale, left shoulder down, gaze beyond the right. Inhale, rise up. One more time, exhale, center. Inhale, back. Left shoulder. Rise up. Perfect. And then we'll straighten the legs. Turn the toes in. Arms rise up. And exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold to the right leg. So the palms will come to the right thigh, the right calf, the foot, doesn't matter. Just stretching over that leg to feel in the right hamstrings. And exhale, release back to center. Another inhale to lift halfway. Exhale, fold over the left. Beautiful. Then coming back to center, inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, walk the palms to the top. Plant the palms down, left foot meets the right. Last vinyasa flow here. So lower the knees, elbows tuck. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, take it back. And from this downward dog, we will now start to kind of take some more relaxing and calming postures from here on out. So you can drop down into your child's pose here, just like we did to start the class. And as you are here, taking some more note of your practice, of how you felt throughout your practice, how you felt when you started to this point, and express gratitude for yourself for arriving on your mat today, for trying yoga out again, or maybe for the first time, but really just moving your body. It's a beautiful testament to show yourself how much you care. So breathing into that here. And then walk the palms into the body as you lift the chest up. Once you arrive to the top, extend the legs out in front of you. And here we'll take a boat pose. So you can bring the arms out parallel to the earth. Make sure everything is nice and lifted, so the belly is kind of tucking in towards the thighs here. And then bring the toes to the mat. And if you want to stay here and you're just kind of practicing your balancing, you can do that. You can also work on lifting one toe and then the other. If you want to go for it, you can lift both of the toes. And they can hover, or you can bring the calves parallel to the earth. Toes are pointed, core is very much engaged, spine is long, shoulders dropped. Connecting to the breath here, maybe feeling a little bit sweaty from this simple posture. Tight, tight, tight. 2 more. You can do it. Last breath. Beautiful. Remember, just gently start to lower down onto our backs. Taking your time. And once you arrive, plant the soles of the feet to the mat and then draw the knees into the chest. Wrap the arms around the shins. You can rock side to side, or create some circles around the low back. And then we will take 2 final postures here. So the first one will be a bridge pose. Plant the soles of the feet close to the glutes, palms rest down beside. You want to be able to touch the heels here, like that's as close as they should be. And on your next breath, we'll start to lift the hips up. Make sure the knees are not touching, but they are being drawn towards one another, tightening towards the center, and then just keep lifting. Pressing into the feet, lifting the hips, lifting the belly, the ribs. And if you want to deepen it here, you can lace the fingers underneath the low back and come onto the outer edges of the shoulders. That way the chest is also going to be lifting here. 2 more. Beautiful. Whenever you're ready to release, just starting with the upper back until you release to the low back. Once you arrive there, draw the right knee into the chest. Left leg will extend long on the mat. Open up the right arm out to the side. And then gently guide the right knee down to the left. Coming into a supine twist here. And at this point, if it feels good, the eyes can start to close down as we are entering closer to Shavasana, which is our final lying pose. And on your exhale, release the right knee back to center. The left knee will draw up, right leg will extend long, and then we're just moving along to the other side. So left arm opens, right palm will come to the left thigh, drop it over to the right. And while you're taking this twist, make sure you're twisting from the navel and the hip is in line with the knee, or the knee is going more towards the lower end of the mat. But if you draw it up towards kind of like your right shoulder, it's not going to be that great of a twist. So just a little tip. 3 breaths. Perfect. And on your exhale, release the knee back to center. And once you arrive there, both of the knees can be tucked in, giving yourself one last big hug here. If you'd like to come into a happy baby, you can grab the outer edges of the soles of the feet and draw the knees down towards the earth. And if you choose to take a happy baby, you can also bring the soles of the feet together. You can straighten one leg or you bend the other and just kind of play around here. It doesn't have to look or feel a certain way. Just kind of opening up the hips and releasing any tension in the back. And when you are ready to release for the best part of the practice, you can allow the legs to extend long. Right leg can open up, left leg, arms open up to the side. So you're just laying on your mat here. This is called corpse pose, Shavasana, and it just kind of creates this full circle with the practice. So when you arrive lying, the eyes can close down if they haven't done so already. The face can relax, the tongue, the jaw, the forehead, the temples, the shoulders, everything from the top all the way to the bottom. Just open yourself up to receiving this rest here for the next few minutes. Wherever you are here, Gently allowing yourself to come back to your body. You're welcome. You can just start to bring some subtle sensations to the fingers and the toes. And taking a big deep breath. And then come either to the left or the right side and gently guide yourself up to a comfortable seat. And in this seat, place the palms together in prayer. Notice how you're feeling. Honor yourself for arriving today and allow these subtle sensations to stick with you and influence yourself and others throughout the rest of your day. In time, may my practice bring me clarity of thought, clarity of speech, and clarity of the heart. Namaste. Thank you for coming.